All right, you're catching me right after my stream. Yes, I stream Thursday nights on Twitch, doing the whole NCAA 14 thing while watching the game and chatting with you guys. So check that out. But this is going to be my top 100, my big board for the NFL draft. Obviously, a lot of things have changed with the Big Ten now being able to play. So, unfortunately, I made this beforehand. But, I mean, I think a lot of it still rings true. And we're going to try to speed through this because it's 100 prospects. If you really want more of a detail, you can go check out the videos. I have my ranking videos for each position. On top of that, if you go in the description or the pinned comment, it'll lead you to my expanded list where I talk about all of my prospects, not just my top ones. So let's go ahead. Without further ado, what's correct lacking? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. Helps me out a ton. So I really encourage you to go and do that. So let's go ahead. Let's dive in. We're going to start at 100. I got Sam Ehlinger here. Part of me just feels like he's a very good college quarterback, but we'll see this year. I don't like his arm in terms of his arm strength and a bit of his accuracy, but we'll see. We'll see. He does have a knack. He has developed tremendously since he stepped foot on the field for Texas. Josh Myers, he'll get a chance to play. The Big Ten is back. So I'm very intrigued to see him. That's going to be a very good offensive line for the Buckeyes. Eric Stokes is a guy with a lot of potential. People talk about maybe limited athleticism, maybe, but he does play in a crappy system there at Georgia for corners. Daniel Falele, this might be might be helped most by the Big Ten returning because he is a very raw prospect and he needs the reps. He played very well. He's got great athleticism for a 400-pounder, so very excited to see him play. Paris Ford, keep in mind he only played 1 year safety last year after converted from corner. He did look good in the season opener, so I look forward to seeing more from him, but right now I kind of feel like he's a slot/box safety. Zamir White is a guy that could really pick up steam once the SEC play really starts. He just, last year in a limited sample size, didn't seem that dynamic. We'll see. Jay Tufele, really hurt by the Pac-12 not playing. A guy that doesn't play with a lot of strength, not saying he doesn't have strength, but just doesn't play with it. And then Jacoby Stevens, I think, could really elevate his stock if he converts to linebacker. He's already kind of built like one at 225. KJ Costello is a guy I really think could just fly up this list, just because big questions with him is decision making. And in that Mike Leach offense, you need to be a good decision maker because it's designed for receivers to create space with ease, and you're supposed to just make the right decision. So I'll be intrigued to see that. Reed Blankenship, man. This guy was a stud for Middle Tennessee State. He's got great explosiveness. He's literally all over the field for them, and a guy I'm very intrigued with. And Charlie Collar didn't play in the season opener. So I do want to see a bit more of him. He's a guy I currently have fallen down my list a little bit because he's just not as athletic as those other tight ends. Pete Werner, Werner is going to be helped out by the Big 12 or the Big 10 coming back, obviously. So big question about his coverage skills because it's a very coverage friendly system there at Ohio State. Kenneth Gainwell, the dude is a stud, but a lot of what he does doesn't really translate to the NFL level, and he's not as fast for a smaller back as you'd like. But still, nonetheless, the guy's a playmaker. Josiah Kando, I don't know why. There's such a small limited sample size we got of him. Its production's not there, but he's like a freak athlete for his size and gets good leverage despite being like 6'7", but he's just not seeing the snaps. I don't get it. Trey Sermon, I'm so glad the Big Ten is back because this guy, he's like beast quick light. Aleem McNeil is a guy, he definitely a dark horse in this class for the interior. Definitely gonna rise up my boards a bit more. I really love the strength, and he's got quite a bit of athleticism for his size. Garrett Wallow is another guy that could fly on my list. He's a former safety, now playing linebacker, which he was always probably going to be if you want to make the transition to NFL, and he's just phenomenal in coverage. James Empey is probably one of the better center prospects in this class, but he doesn't have elite. He just doesn't face elite competition. Elijah Molden, probably one of the best slot corners in this class. Jalen Mayfield is a guy that everyone's high on but me. If you want to see my rant on him, take a look at my offensive tackle video. Sage Surratt, the dude's slow, but he can really help his stock like Michael Pittman did. I mean, I guess he can't because now he just has the combine. He opted out for the season. But he was a good contested catch receiver, and if you're not going to be able to separate, you need to be really good at the contested catch, and that he was. Darion Kendrick, I just want to see him be more disciplined. Often you would see him drift off in zone, and last year was his first year of any starting experience, and he played Jamar Chase very well. So Nico Collins, huge at the Big Ten's back. Have I said that enough in this video? But a guy that really, he has the build, he has the ability. Just want to see production. Caden Stearns is a guy with all the tools. Just he's not good enough against the run to be a box safety, and he's just doesn't have the instincts or the decisiveness, I guess, to really play deep. So a guy with tools, just Devin Taylor. I can't wait to see Virginia Tech play because I really think this guy could be a hot riser. The transfer from Illinois State. He's going to be playing, I assume, Caleb Farley's role. So I'm really high on him. Tylan Wallace, a guy that didn't really need to come back. He doesn't really get nothing by coming back to that Oklahoma State offense because he's not going to expand his route tree just because how that offense is. Being in the Big 12, you hardly see press. So you're not really going to get a lot of the questions answered that we have about Wallace. Ben Cleveland, a guy, if he could see more snaps, could really rise because he's been very dominant on the snaps he has seen. Najee Harris, I love him. He's just slow. It perplexes my mind because he's one of the better receiving backs in this class. Kobe Harvell is a guy that I think can be a Bob Sanders type. Go check out the safety video. I go into a little bit more detail. Brevin Jordan, he looked good in the opener. Did have a bad drop. Not a guy that you question the athleticism with, just the route running and even the contested catch with him. So he is my third overall tight end in this class. Frank Darby, I'm in love with. I hate the Pac-12 ain't playing. He's a guy that I really thought could have been a first-round pick. Corey Durden, another guy that's not really seeing the snaps, which is really, really unusual there in Florida State. But he's seeing more than actually Marvin Wilson, Kendo, and oh my gosh, the other guy just slips my mind. Oh, too late now. But he's like a bull in a china shop, just needs a little refinement to his technique. Jackson Carman, questions about him, his ability to get out of his stance in pass protection. You just got to be a better pass protector. Hopefully we see that this season. Quincy Roche, I want to see the bull rush. He put on the size. He played the run pretty well in the season opener, so I just want to see the bull rush. Yamador Lenoir is a guy I want to put higher on this list. I really like him, but him not playing this season is kind of a bummer. Patrick Jones II, not necessarily have the tools athletically, but he's a very disciplined, a very technically sound player with great hands. TJ Carter, dude is phenomenal speed. Could gain a little bit more weight, but he is very battle tested. Well, not so much last year. He only saw 41 targets, but he plays shut down. So hopefully we see that more this year. Kind of had a rough go in the opener. Jalen Twyman. That's a very studded line for the for Pittsburgh. But another guy that might lack some explosiveness, especially to his first step. Just he is twitchy though, and I just want to see more pressures from him. A lot of them was just because, he's got a high motor and he plays to the whistle. Reed Humphrey, I have him. A lot of people are much higher on him, but I think he translates better to a guard, and he has no experience at the guard position. So that's why I have him down here. Jeremiah Owusu, a guy that I could see definitely getting higher. I think he's got to be a linebacker. I think just because box safeties, they don't get drafted till the third round, and I think he can he's already been playing huge this year, so really high on the guy, but he's only a redshirt sophomore, so you could draft him and you could put on a little bit more weight. Jake Sanborn, a guy, not necessarily all the athletic tools, but phenomenal in coverage for Wisconsin. Daz Newsome, I want to see him. We're not going to see it, but I'd like to see him play a little bit more on the outside. But after the catch, the dude is deadly. He forces tacklers to miss like nobody's business. Journey Brown, guy really needed this year to come in, but he looks like a very good inside zone type of running back. And I mean, he should blow the top off on the combine, much like Miles Sanders. Tyson Campbell. Did I talk about how much I hate Georgia's stinking defensive scheme for their corners? But athletically, he's much better than Eric Stokes, so that's why he's up here. Terrence Marshall, I can't wait to watch him play with. I thought he might assume more of the Justin Jefferson role. That might not be the case now with Jamar Chase opting out, so I really look forward to seeing what he does in this offense. Levi Onwuzurike, unfortunately, no Pac-12 play this year. Really, I think needed it. I want to see more production from him, but he's got great tools. Jabril Cox, man, the step up in competition from North Dakota State could be huge. He could be a riser. Abraham Lucas, one of the most battle-tested tackles here in this class in terms of in true pass sets, thanks to Mike Leach. So I don't think he really had much more to prove there. Anyway, Tyler Shelvin's a guy I think has high upside as a pass rusher just because he's not really been taught how to pass rush. He's asked to play run contain first, and then if it's not there, rush the passer. If it's not run play, go rush the passer. He does block shed pretty easily though. Jamie Newman, he's coming out. I really wish I got to see him play more outside of an RPO system and make more throws on the intermediate level, but we won't get that. But I do love how accurate he is as a deep ball thrower, at least back in Wake Forest. Jason Owe really I think can benefit from them having just even 8 games. I look forward to that. Tyler Lindenbaum, guy that actually could come out of the 2022 draft. He is a bit undersized at center, but very technically sound, very good. Chuba Bubba Hubbard himself, Chuba Hubbard. Here he is my second overall running back. I like a lot of things he does. I hate the system he does it in, unfortunately, and I don't think there's much. I don't think he can really help his stock too much with this season. He honestly could have came out last year. He had nothing to prove. Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. He was going to be playing tackle this season for USC. He's very athletic, very good in pass protection. But I think his position is going to be guard. Chaz Surratt, one of the better coverage linebackers in this class. Really needs to clean up on the tackling, but keep in mind he was playing quarterback the season before. Liam Etchenberg, already coming out looking very good. He doesn't have the athletic tools, but he's kind of a Mitchell Schwartz type. That's kind of his ceiling. You know, he's so technically sound, very good with his hands, and his footwork's a lot better and quicker than you would think. So I kind of like him here in this early to mid second round. Quiddy Pay, if he blows the top off, shows he has a few more pass rush moves, a guy that could definitely get into the first round. Christian Holmes is a guy I'm very high on. He's a press man corner, formerly from Missouri. He will be very tested. He will be tested a lot in the Big 12, so I look forward to that. Hamsaw Nazar Ildeen, a guy that will be linebacker. He does play safety for the Seminoles. I don't think he really has the playmaking ability to stick at safety, so I like him better around the line of scrimmage. Anyway, Aiden Hutchinson, not Hutcherson. If you don't know what I'm referencing, because I like to mispronounce names, and it happened in my Edge video. A guy that probably projects better as a 3-4 end. He's great at setting the edge. He controls the line of scrimmage. And it's just unfortunately because a lot of things he does extremely well, they translate to the NFL, but they don't get you drafted highly. And Rashawn Slater, I'm so happy. I hope he does play or decide to play. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class. Arm length is kind of an issue, but he was one of the best graded left tackles in all of football last year. And I mean, his one hiccup may have been a couple of snaps versus Chase frickin' Young. Tutu Atwell, if if it is true that he's put on weight, man, I'm gonna keep this guy this high. The dude, he's one of the best gadget players we've seen in quite some time. He's just electric with the ball in his hands. Just there at Louisville, you're not gonna really learn a route tree, and you're not really gonna see press. So Xavier Thomas, a guy that's probably gonna be falling down my list quite a bit. He really had a tough off season. You could go watch more about that in my Edge video. Ardarius Washington, a guy I really want to put higher. It's just size really hurts him. If he could just have another year of just showing great instincts, he might be the best safety in this class. Chris Olave, if I'm mispronouncing that, my bad. I want to just, honestly, he could benefit tremendously from the Big Ten coming back if he could show after the catch ability. Trey Smith, the dude is one of the best guards in this class. He's actually, outside of Wyatt Davis, spoiler alert, he is one of my best guards. Trey Smith, just tremendous power. He's one of the best graded. He has a tremendous experience all over the line outside of center, but I think you stick him here at guard. Sean Wade has the most to prove this season. If he could show he could play on the outside, he instantly elevates himself to probably like the top 15, top 20 pick. Andre Cisco already looking like a playmaker again. The dude has had 12 pick, well, I guess officially now 13 picks over the last 2.1 seasons. But he gives up a lot of big plays. If he can minimize that, then he's a first rounder. Armand Ross St. Brown, he's going to be hurt by the Pac-12 not having a season. He primarily played in the slot, hardly ever saw press, but he's a crafty route runner and showed he's could be very successful as a vertical threat, so he probably slips in the second round. Sante Samuel Jr., he's on the rise. I love this guy. He just looked like a monster, a true shutdown corner against Georgia Tech. Had 2 picks. Guy's really good. Trevon Moehrig, a guy with all of the physical tools you want to see, but his instincts are a bit average compared to some of the other safety prospects in this class, but still, he's solid. He only allowed a completion percentage of like 32% last season, so he's really good. Pat Freiermuth out of Penn State. Oh man, he might not be as athletic as my number 1 tight end, but all around one of the best blockers in this class. He's pretty good after the catch, sure hands. You love what you see. Chris Rump probably gonna fall down my list because he didn't have the best outing versus who was it? I think it was Notre Dame. It was Notre Dame. He did struggle at parts. He got his weight up to 235, but honestly, a guy that I think sticks around another year, tries to put on the weight. Dylan Moses, if he puts out a banger of a year, he'll move up this list. Sideline to sideline athlete, athletic freak in general, but is coming off the ACL injury that cost him his whole 2019. So I want to see him better in coverage. Nick Bolton is better in coverage, best coverage linebacker in this class, and one of my favorites. Rondale Moore, I think he's going to stay opt out, but it's really going to hurt him only playing like 150 snaps over the last 2 seasons by the time the draft gets here. So it's hard for me to see him as more than a late first rounder. Travis Etienne, I love him. If you're not new to the channel, then you know, I'm in love. Devontae Smith needs to put on a little more size to his frame because what he does best is the great release, and he's very physical at the catch point. It's going to get a lot tougher if you don't put on the weight at the NFL level to continually be good at those things, but I love his speed. I love his playmaking ability. Wyatt Davis, he's a monster. He's coming back. He opted out originally, but once he heard the Big Ten's having a season, he's like, I'm coming back. And I think he has a chance to have a Quentin Nelson-like rise. Onto the top 20. Gosh, we're flying through this only at 20 minutes. Brock Purdy is a guy that probably will fall down this list a little bit if his play looks like how it did against Louisiana. Unfortunately, honestly, might return for the 2022 draft. Patrick Surtain II. Speed. Apparently, it's a speed issue here in Alabama. Trevon Diggs had the same issue. Had to prove he was a lot faster than he looked on tape. I think he can, and I mean, he's been elite. Like, he's been way more elite than Trevon Diggs was. if he just does it again for a third straight season, then I don't know how this guy's outside of top 15. Rashad Bateman, he is opted out, probably still will remain opt out. He really had nothing left to prove. He's solid route runner, one of the best at separating. Very good. Samuel Cosby, a guy he saw almost over 600 true pass sets last season. He was solid in all of them. A lot of people maybe question his play strength, but you kind of scheme around that, especially in what he will probably be in a outside zone blocking scheme. Don't really need strength isn't the biggest asset in that. It's athleticism. He's got a ton of it. Javon Holland, elite grades for the last 2 seasons, whether it was deep safety or slot. He is the top corner or top safety in this class. Jalen Waddle, it was really tough between him and Tamari and Terry, because you know how much I love Tamari and Terry if you're not new to the channel. But I ended up edging out with Terry. Terry didn't have the greatest outing against Georgia Tech, but I don't think it was enough to knock him down below Jalen Waddle, just because Jalen Waddle has limited reps on the outside. He's probably a slot receiver with just play-making ability, especially after the catch. Kyle Pitts, I'm in love. I think this is the closest guy we've gotten to like a Travis Kelce-esque player at the tight end position, I guess, ever. This guy, he's like a jumbo receiver. This guy, he's going to be in high demand. The NFL, they're looking for guys like this now. Caleb Farley, he's got all the elite tools, really needs to probably maybe work on footwork, if that, but he's got the elite corner tools. And he was shut down last season. Gregory Rousseau, I think, really should have played this season, just because he's so raw. Like, you love like the freakish build with that type of bend on the outside. And I mean, he had 15.5 sacks despite not having necessarily the best technique and pass rush tools. So you like guys winning despite that deficiency, just winning with pure athleticism. But I think he really, really, really needed this season to prove he could be a top 5 pick. You know, show some sort of development in that. And then on to the top 10. We're going to start with Marvin Wilson. I got Barmore, basically Christian Barmore from Alabama, edging him out simply because I think he's just got a better athletic upside than Wilson, and he's been a bit more dominant over a smaller sample size. But I mean, this is like 1A, 1B at this point. Alex Leatherwood, he's probably one of the, outside of Sewell, the best pass protector in this class. If you could limit a bit of the penalties this year, I don't see any reason why he's not a top 10 pick. Carlos Basham Jr., he had a solid outing against Clemson, but I mean, he brought in 5 pressures, so it was like a 15% pass rush win rate. You want to see better than that, but it's a tough matchup. I love the size and the explosiveness, and opposed to Gregory Rousseau, we will get to see Carlos Basham through a whole season. I think right now that edges it out for me until, you know, a lot can change depending on how Basham plays this year. Trey Lance, he's got a cannon for an arm. He's got great athleticism. It's just level of competition. But that doesn't really mean a lot much. I think it means a little bit more, though, when you're only averaging like 18 pass attempts per game. I'd like to see him rely a little bit more on his arm than his legs. And we only see actually one more game this year with them being against Central Arkansas. Micah Parsons, again, a guy that's going to blow up the Combine. He's an athletic freak. He was okay in coverage, by no means bad, but he was good. The guy has got huge pass rush upside, like a ridiculous win rate. Takes on block, he's a top 5 linebacker. Jamar Chase, he opted out. There wasn't really much more he had to prove, though. Same with Penei Sewell. There was not much he had to prove. This guy, literally, I'm going to throw it out there because everyone else is. He's a generation tackle, and you know what? Everyone's saying that because it's true. Then I got Justin Fields at 2 because the quarterback position is the most valuable position on the field. So quarterbacks will edge out these generational talents at offensive tackle. Because, I mean, honestly, I like Fields and Lawrence a lot in this class. Fields, I think, actually is a bit more accurate than Lawrence. I like Fields. He's got a lot of zip to his passes. He was more accurate than Lawrence on passes of 10 yards or more. His average depth of target, and you can't even compare him to Dwayne Haskins. He's doing way better in the same system than Dwayne Haskins. He has average depth of target was 4 more yards than Haskins, which actually says a lot. Haskins relied a lot on the screen game and guys getting yards after the catch. Fields doesn't need to do that. And then Trevor Lawrence, he's been highly sought out since high school. So, yeah, he's the consensus #1, probably be the first overall pick. But that is my top 100. Flew by it pretty quick. But let me know what you think in the comment section below and what guys I may have missed, because there are a lot of good prospects in this class. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.